So let's welcome Ron like we did up in Minneapolis. Let's try it again. That first one was just a warm up. That's right. We can really do it. Ron.
By the time that battle was fought and over, William Travis was released, and he lived to fight another day. But the The important thing is to me is that we do live in a very historic area of Texas, and the issue then, as it is now, is martial law. Martial law is a sign that the federal government is getting too oppressive, and there are hints today that it may come to our country, and we have to do everything conceivable to stop that from happening. You know, in studying economics and being in government, warnings are oftentimes very, very important. We should warn people about what's coming, because you can't do anything about it if you live just thinking that there are no problems and you can't anticipate them, you can't change policy. So even though we now are in the midst of a financial crisis that many individuals had warned about, we still have to deal with what will the future be and what are the warnings and what should our concerns be. We do have a lot of economic concerns in this country, believe me. It doesn't take you very much to figure out exactly where we stand on our financial situation in Washington. Things, to say it mildly, it is in one big mess. And we need to do something about that. You know, if you look at the July statistics on the budget, they're rather frightening, because just in July, the deficit was $180 billion in 1 month. That used to take a couple years to work up a deficit like that, but in 1 month, it went up $180 billion. But the spending went up to $332 billion. The biggest month we've ever had in spending. At the same time, the revenues dropped. Some people say, oh, isn't that a shame? The revenues dropped. Well, it's a mixed blessing. That's good. The government's not getting enough money. That's fine and dandy with me. But the whole problem is that spending doesn't stop. It just contributes to the deficit, puts pressure on more borrowing, and of course puts more pressure on the Federal Reserve just to print the money. And that, of course, is something that we are in the midst of taking care of, that Federal Reserve system. We see the deficits exploding, and we see the spending exploding, but they never hesitate for a second to add on a new program. Now, of course, they talk about cap and trade. That's going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars in unreal spending and taxes. At the same time, they're coming along, and they think that they need the federal government to tell you what to do about your health care, and we don't need the federal government in the business of our health care whatsoever. But what is bewildering is they talk about $1 trillion medical program. And that medical program will cost more. There's never been a program the federal government has proposed, and they haven't even come close to the predicted cost of that program. So if they're saying $1 trillion, you can be assured it will be $3 trillion. Now what do they say when you bring up the subject of too much expenses? What they'll tell you is that you're right about this. We spend too much. We have too much of the debt, and we print too much money. But they tell us, we'll take care of that next year, or the year after, or the year after. We'll postpone